We are standing in the midst of one of the greatest chapters in human history. No, I am not exaggerating. We are living through the fourth industrial revolution. And the driving engine of this revolution is artificial intelligence, AI. In just a few short years, AI has completely changed the way we work, create, and communicate. From ChatGPT writing essays and Midjourney painting masterpieces, to AI systems running logistics, diagnosing medical conditions, and automating production, AI is no longer science fiction, it is reality. But there is one extremely big problem. A problem that very few of us realize. This entire colossal AI power is in whose hands? That's right. Just a few giant tech corporations. They own the massive data centers that cost billions of dollars and consume an amount of electricity equivalent to an entire nation. They control the AI models. They control the training data. They control how we access and use this intelligence. In other words, AI is being terrifyingly centralized. And then, in another corner of the tech world, we have Web3 and blockchain, with the promise of a decentralized world, a world where power belongs to the users, where data is secure, where no one can unilaterally manipulate the system. But ironically, for the past 15 years, the majority of the crypto world has been mired in something else. Part 1. The illusion of digital money and the silence of pi. Speculation. Let's be honest with each other. 99% of the blockchain projects that spring up and die revolve around one thing: pump and dump. The promises of DeFi, GameFi, and SocialFi all eventually boil down to staring at price charts on centralized exchanges. These exchanges, ironically, are the very big players manipulating liquidity and the market. Millions of blockchains have been born, and millions have slowly died in obscurity, leaving no real value for society. We have a generation of investors who have forgotten the true meaning of the word investment. They are not investing in technology, they are gambling on numbers. And amidst this noisy, chaotic, and financial gambling, there is one project quietly forging its own path. A project that has been the most mocked, the most doubted. A project with over 55 million users mining every day on their phones without earning a single coin that can be traded on an exchange. Pi Network. For over 6 years, Pi Network has been building its foundation in silence. And the question the whole world has been screaming at them, the question that perhaps you watching this video are also asking, is what is Pi even for? Today, we will not talk about the price of Pi. We will not talk about Open Mainnet or getting listed on exchanges. If that's what you're looking for, you can turn off this video. Because today, I want you to try, just once, to take your eyes off the numbers on the exchange. Look at the Pi Network project as if you were the one who created it. And to answer the question, what is Pi for, we need to look at actions, not promises. And the first, most strategic action from Pi Network has just happened. An action that has proven that Pi's entire platform wasn't built to store transactions, but to think. That's right, to think. Part 2. The historic handshake, Pi Network and OpenMind. Here is the news. The first investment from Pi Network Ventures has been announced, and the partner they chose is not an exchange, not a DeFi project, not an NFT game. They invested in OpenMind, a name you may have never heard of, but believe me, after today, you won't be able to forget it. So what is OpenMind? To put it simply, OpenMind is a startup developing an open-source operating system and protocol with the goal of helping robots learn, collaborate, and work together. Think of it like this. Today, every robot from Boston Dynamics, Tesla, or a factory in China is a closed ecosystem. They are programmed separately, operate separately, and the data they collect and learn from is locked away in the parent company's vault. A robot from company A cannot talk to or learn from the experience of a robot from company B. OpenMind wants to break down those walls. They want to create an Android for robots. Remember Android? Before Android, the phone market was dominated by Nokia with Symbian, BlackBerry, and Microsoft with Windows Mobile. Each went its own way. And then Google released Android, an open operating system. It leveled the playing field. It allowed hundreds of manufacturers, Samsung, LG, Sony, to create smartphones and, most importantly, apps could run on all devices. Android created a revolution. OpenMind wants to do the same for the robotics industry. They want to create a common protocol, a common language, a shared brain for robots worldwide. A place where they can share experiences, learn from each other, and self-evolve through a decentralized community. Wonderful, right? A grand vision. But it faces one huge problem, a problem that even the AI giants are struggling with. To learn, AI and robots need one thing, something extremely expensive and scarce. That is computing power. To train a large language AI model, you need tens of thousands of NVIDIA's H100 GPU chips, each costing $40,000. To run a complex AI system, you need massive data centers. How can OpenMind, a startup, get that computing resource? Will they have to rent servers from Amazon AWS, Google Cloud, or Microsoft? If they do that, they fall right back into the centralization trap they are trying to break. The data will again be on big tech servers. Control will belong to the corporations. The decentralized vision will collapse at the first hurdle. OpenMind needs a massive, decentralized, global, and readily available computing infrastructure. And that's where Pi Network steps in. Part 3. The supercomputer of 350,000 Pi Network nodes. When the Pi Foundation chose OpenMind as a partner, it wasn't just a financial deal. It was a resonance of vision. Pi was telling the world, you need a decentralized computing network? We have one right here. To most users, a blockchain is a wallet, an exchange, a token. But to Dr. Nicholas Kokalis, the father of Pi, a blockchain is humanity's computing resource. For many years, while we were busy tapping the lightning bolt, Pi Network was quietly encouraging its community to do one thing: install Pi Node. A Pi Node is a piece of software that runs on your personal computer. From an old laptop in a small office in the US to a gaming PC rig in South Korea or a family computer in Vietnam. And what is the current number? More than 350,000 active nodes. Let's pause for a moment to let that number sink in. 350,000. Do you know how many Amazon AWS data centers are in the world? Around 100 to 110. Google Cloud? Around 100 to 120. Pi Network, in theory, has a network with thousands of times more connection points nodes than these tech giants. Of course, you'll say, but how can one node at home compare to a billion-dollar data center? You're right. One node is weak, very weak. But what about 350,000 nodes together? This is where things get interesting. When OpenMind started testing their AI models, they didn't run them on AWS. They ran them on these very Pi nodes. Pi has effectively turned its network into a form of decentralized global supercomputer. Each user running a node is part of a shared CPU. Let's do some simple math so you can visualize its power. A Google data center might have 100,000 servers, but they're concentrated in one place. They cost billions to build and millions in electricity and cooling every day. The Pi network has 350,000 nodes. Let's assume, very conservatively, that each node contributes only 10% of its CPU power and 2 gigabytes of RAM to the network when idle. Multiply it out. 350,000 CPU cores, 700,000 gigabytes of RAM, or 700 terabytes of RAM. Do you know how big 700 terabytes of RAM is? That is a colossal number, enough to run extremely complex, high-performance computing tasks. And the cost to build? Almost zero, because it leverages existing, idle resources on hundreds of thousands of people's computers.
The operating cost? Almost zero, because each person pays for their own computer's electricity. This is a completely new model, a model that Amazon, Google, or Microsoft cannot replicate. They can't do it because they don't have what Pi has, the trust and voluntary participation of a 55 million-strong community. With this unique method, blockchain is no longer just decentralized finance, DeFi. It's advancing to a much grander concept, decentralized wisdom, DeWi. What big tech does with millions of servers and glass cages, Pi does with the power of the community. And this is no longer a theory. Part 4. The successful test, proof of utility. In the first pilot project between Pi and OpenMind, a miracle happened. They tested running an image recognition AI model. Here's how it works. I'll explain it in the simplest way. 1. A mother AI model is created. 2. Instead of uploading millions of photos, training data, to a central server like Google does, this AI model is chopped up and sent to thousands of different Pi nodes around the world. 3. The training data, example, your photos, stays on your computer. It never leaves your device. This completely solves the privacy problem. 4. The child AI model sent to your device learns from your data and only sends back what it has learned, a tiny file called model weights, to the mother model. 5. The mother model aggregates the learned results from thousands of nodes to become smarter. This process is called federated learning. And the result? For the first time in history, this AI training task ran successfully and stably without needing any data centers from Amazon, Google, or Microsoft. Do you understand what this means? It means that we, ordinary people, can train AI without big tech. It means we can create a global artificial intelligence while still ensuring 100% data privacy. This is exactly what the Pi network team calls proof of utility. This is the most convincing, resounding answer to the age-old question, what is Pi for? What is it for? It's used to run artificial intelligence without data centers. And when you understand this, you will see a much bigger picture emerging. Part 5. Android for robots, Pi is the energy. Let's return to OpenMind, the android for robots. The name OpenMind itself speaks to their philosophy. Intelligence must be shared, not monopolized. If OpenMind is the operating system, the brain for robots, what do they need? They need energy to run that brain. And Pi network, with its 350,000 nodes and growing to millions, is precisely that computing energy source. Here, humanity is truly placed back at the center of technology. Each pioneer running a node is no longer a meaningless coin miner. You are a provider of computing power. You are renting a part of your computer to a global intelligence network. When nodes in the US, UK, France, Germany, Japan, Korea, Singapore, Thailand, and yes, even Vietnam all work together to process an AI model for OpenMind, a miracle happens. Artificial intelligence is being nurtured by the power of the community, not by the tyrannical power of corporations. Imagine a realistic scenario. A startup in Vietnam develops a delivery robot. A company in Brazil develops a beach cleaning robot. A hospital in the US uses a surgical robot. All of them run on the OpenMind platform. The robot in Vietnam encounters a complex traffic situation. It processes it and learns a lesson. Instead of keeping it to itself, it shares that lesson as model weights to the OpenMind network. This network, powered by hundreds of thousands of Pi nodes across the planet, processes, validates, and updates the shared AI model with this lesson. Instantly, the robot in Brazil and the robot in the US become smarter without having to experience that situation themselves. This is swarm intelligence on a global scale. And for this whole process to happen, from the robot sending data, to the nodes processing it, to the AI model being updated, they need something to pay for that computing power. They need a type of fuel. And that fuel is Pi. Part 6. Pi is no longer money, Pi is fuel. This is when we must completely change our mindset. When Bitcoin was born, it could only record transactions. When Ethereum appeared, the blockchain could hold smart contracts. And now, Pi is showing that blockchain can even hold intelligence. The investment in OpenMind has opened up a space that no other crypto project can touch. Pi is no longer a payment platform. It becomes a computing network. In the future, when an AI application, like OpenMind, needs to process data, what will it do? It will rent power from the Pi network. It will pay the nodes with Pi coins, and the computation results will be validated right on the Pi blockchain's ledger. At this point, Pi is no longer money for you to buy and sell on an exchange. Pi becomes the fuel for an entirely new intelligence economy. Want your robot to be smarter? You need Pi to pay the nodes. Are you an AI researcher who wants to train your model but can't afford AWS? You can rent the Pi network at a 100-fold cheaper cost and pay with Pi. And you, a node operator, receive Pi as a reward for contributing your computer's power. This is a complete economic loop, a loop based on real-world utility, not speculation. The value of Pi at this point is not decided by exchanges. It is determined by 1. How many AI applications, like OpenMind, want to rent the network? 2. How many nodes does the network have? What is the total computing power? This is a one-of-a-kind system in the world. Imagine a garbage collecting robot in Manila, Philippines, a delivery robot in Tokyo, Japan, a rescue robot in the US, all learning from one model via OpenMind, all powered by the computing energy of hundreds of thousands of Pi nodes across the planet. Every action they take is the result of millions of small calculations shared by the community. That is the deepest meaning of decentralization. Intelligence does not reside in any one data center, it resides within every single one of us, in our very real computers. Part 7. Conclusion: the seed of Web 3. The story of Pi and OpenMind is not just an investment deal, it is a signal of a new era. An era where blockchain and AI are no longer two parallel lines. They are converging, merging to create a system that can learn, understand, and serve humanity in a truly decentralized way. It redefines that technology was not born to dominate us, as big tech is doing, but to coexist symbiotically with us. The node operators everywhere, whether you are a student, a mechanic, a homemaker, or an engineer, you are all contributing to building that shared brain. No one is left behind. No one's data is exploited. Intelligence is created from the participation of the many, not from the authority of the few. The way Pi invested in OpenMind, without fanfare, without flashy advertising, shows the character of a project in it for the long haul. They are building core value before assigning it a price. In a world where every blockchain project is screaming, "When Binance?", Pi is quietly teaching robots how to learn. One side is a short-term financial gamble. The other is the seed of a true Web 3 world. The new often arrives in silence, and perhaps Pi is choosing exactly that path. A path that is steady, slow, but deep enough to touch the future of human intelligence. So, if someone asks you next time, what is Pi for? Send them this video and tell them, while you were looking at the exchanges, we were busy building a global supercomputer. While you were waiting for a pump, we were busy creating the fuel for the next generation of robots. While you were asking, what is the price of Pi? We were busy defining what the value of Pi is. And that value, ladies and gentlemen, is not a number on a screen. That value is the computing power to run an entire decentralized AI world. A world where wisdom is the commonwealth of all of us.